Chapter 4 Life Will Change. Akechi awoke with a stretch, yawning and rubbing his eyes. A cursory glance over his shoulder brought his attention to his cell phone resting on his desk. His lips perked into a smile, not out of a desire to wear a pleasant mask, but something more genuine. He rose from the futon, folding everything up for the day, then reached for his new phone. He flipped over it, marveling at the settings. Phone calls, obviously, but also texting. A camera for both still photography and short video clips. While he doubted the duality would compare to a professional camera, this was one way to, perhaps, store memories of his new life. How brazenly sentimental. Bold even for one such as himself. But after last night, it was impossible to brush aside everything he had experienced as manipulation. Whatever cracks in the foundation his new life held, that foundation withstood all the same. Was he happy? Genuinely, truly happy? He pocketed the phone and moved to withdraw a fresh change of clothes. Black pants paired with a green sweater vest this time, with white undershirt as a necessity to bring it all together. A shower came first, of course, as did taming his frizzy mane, though one look at the TV screen at least reassured him that said frizziness was milder this time. Amazing what a peaceful sleep could do. Yet, strangely, as he descended the steps, Dojima watched him with an odd intensity in his eyes, while Nanako pulled a carton of eggs from the fridge. Akechi hovered on the bottom step, awkwardly shifting the clothes in his arms so he smoothed his hair down a bit. Is something wrong?
Not wrong, exactly. It's.
He stopped, shaking his head.
You get cleaned up, and then we'll talk, alright?
How strangely ominous. Best not to jump to conclusions for now. Akechi nodded, and on the way towards the bathroom, Good morning, Nanako-chan. Morning, Akechi-kun! Amazing how establishing a routine could help calm the nerves. The ability to take a morning shower, tend to his hair, dress in fresh, clean clothes, these were all activities the average kid would take for granted. To Akechi, they were luxuries long lost until recently. So when he returned to the table to find today's egg and toast, he did so with a confident strut. Strangely, Jojima Watson died with a silent, not a scowl, but a slight contemplative edge. Just what was going through this man's head this morning? After taking a few bites of his toast, Akechi couldn't bear it any longer. All right, Dojima-san, what's really going on? Setting his coffee mug down, Dojima reached for his temple and shut his eyes.
It's complicated. Before you say anything, you're not in trouble.
That seemed like a forewarning of some kind. Ominous.
Something just came up last night, that's all.
Ah, the phone call. Something about going abroad, if memory served. It seemed too personal to pry at the time. Would asking now be overstepping as well? As Akechi contemplated this, his eyes fell on Nanako, who, between taking bites of egg, flipped through the pages of a book, or her face all scrunched up with a level of focus that almost rivaled Akechi's own.
Jojima chuckled. Looks like she's already trying to follow in your footsteps.
Ha, how funny. She has a peculiar taste in role models.
Give yourself some credit, kid. You're like the big brother she never had.
Him? A brother? A part of the family? Akechi could nearly dropped his toast, just nearly to his credit, and he took a small bite to mask his surprise, while Nanako perked up. Akechi-kun's my big bro! He swallowed hard, feeling the must that once was toasted bread slithering down his esophagus.
That's up to him, Dojima said. Probably too soon to put that kind of pressure on him.
Oh. For a fleeting moment, Nanako's head dropped, complete with a little frown. Then, astonishingly, she straightened and smiled as if nothing was wrong. That's okay. My everything's fabulous. That was certainly a lot to consider. This was what? His 5th day with the Jojimas? Just shy of a week since this new chapter of his life began. And to be fair, 5 days of simple domesticity was heaven after a lifetime in hell. But one did not simply shake off years of anguish in so little time. Running a hand through his hair, Akechi stared down at his half-eaten egg and toast, struggled to find the right words. It's sweet that you care so much, Nanako-chan, and I'm flattered that I've already inspired you. Him, a role model. Really? What a thought. And I appreciate your trying to respect my boundaries, too. To be honest, this past week has been a bit overwhelming, but I think I'm turning a corner. Somehow, much like when he rose that morning, a more sincere smile took form. So thank you, truly. Wearing his best poker face, Dojima nodded.
Then I hope you can trust that we're both here for you, no matter what happens.
He took his coffee mug again, gulping down the hot beverage. Something was amiss. His word choice, the somber look in his eyes when Akechi made it downstairs. This was
We're both here for you, no matter what happens.
no. He wasn't going to be discarded. He wasn't going to be discarded. This was fine. No assumptions. This family had already been nothing but kind to him. He needed to be patient. Still, Akechi's smile waned. That implies something will happen.
Dodging aside, yeah, like I said, something come up. It's gonna take some growing pains for all of us.
All of us. That implicitly included Akechi. Okay, so perhaps he was fine. Perhaps he was safe. Growing pains, though. The shrunken smile became a frown. Then what is it, Dojima-san? Dojima's fingers curled tightly around his coffee cup. He set it down with a clink. Head slightly downturned, he folded his hands atop the table.
My sister called last night. She and her husband are going abroad for a year, and their kid needs a place to stay.
Akechi's whole body reflexively clenched tight, stiff like a rigid stone. A blood relative. Of course. Of course. He forced a very strange smile. So strange felt like his lips would pop up his face. I see. What a predicament. The look Nanako gave him, eyes wide, frown deep. Did she worry for him? Dojima spoke before she could get a word out.
Now, I want to be clear. I'm not looking to replace you. We aren't going to kick out. You're our burden. As long as you're staying here, you're part of this family too.
Part of this family. Family. You will never be a part of this family. You're just a burden, you bastard brat! Well, sorry, but we can't meet your needs any longer. I'm sure you'll find a better home. She's pregnant! No way we can handle a baby and you! God, I felt a little dirty being that mean. Ugh. Akechi's eyelids slammed shut, and he turned his head to hide the severity of his reaction. How stupid. How childish. Jojima already had more than proven how serious he was about fostering him. One did not simply buy an expensive piece of technology and then throw the recipient like yesterday's garbage. Akechi tried to calm himself, drawing a shaky breath through his teeth. It wasn't planned. This came out of nowhere. He had to reassure himself. He had to remind himself this was real. But yours is a bond of blood. I'm just...
Carl, listen.
Ah, the first name card. That was certainly a bold choice.
When I took you in, I had every intention to make this long term. I know the foster care system in this country doesn't grant many opportunities for kids like you. Plenty of children age out of it, never knowing what it's like to have a home.
Despite Akechi's best efforts to escape his gaze, the moment Jojima's eyes locked onto a bit, he froze.
Desato wanted to change that, even if she could only help one kid at a time.
Chisato? Your wife?
Yeah.
The confirmation made Nanako scoot forward in her chair.
Then we had Nanako, and after that, she never got her chance.
A mother, a wife, stolen away much too soon. Akechi squeezed his hands together, staring off at the stairs just to catch a reprieve for Jojima's unwavering eyes. It wasn't the same. It wasn't. But the pain, the loss, Akechi knew it all too well. Just his luck he end up in a family like this. A family that cried out to his withered, bruised husk of a heart. A family where he could understand, be understood. What right did he have to be ungrateful? What right did he have to be so stupidly scared? He said he trusts Jojima. If Jojima cared this much to warn him and preface it with so much reassurance, this was genuine. This was still real. Piercing through the silence, Nanako said,
Yeah. She'd take one look at him, blow him into her arms, and never let go.
There was a soft, unspoken yearning in Jojima's voice. Yearning for a woman he never have, hold, or cherish again.
I guess, when it comes down to it, I just wanted to honor that wish.
A father who loved his wife. A father with regrets. A father who... Akechi's fingers rapped at the tabletop. He still avoided eye contact, but his voice returned to him. She must have been a wonderful woman. The words slipped out, perhaps too absent-mindedly. Here I am, dredging up painful memories. It's okay, Nanako said. Dad talks about Mom. Let's hear about her for once. Akechi glanced at Dojima, just in time to see him wince.
Look, the point is, I don't want to hurt you, but I know it's not something I can control.
You just want to help your family. I understand why you agreed to it. Akechi struggled in his best attempt to mask the whirlwind of emotions raging inside him. In the end, it's your house. I'm merely a guest. It stung. It stung so much, but that was selfish, wasn't it? He was still fortunate to be even there. What right did he have to complain?
There's another thing.
My room? Akechi laughed without meaning to. He could read between the lines. I suppose I can't really call it my room, can I? It's just when he started getting used to having his own space. I want to take this fanfic and show it to every single one of the fans of Trippic and show them how to deal with this type of situation realistically.
If we had the space, you get your own rooms, no question.
Of course, Toshima didn't anticipate this. He didn't plan any of this. So I'll be sharing, I presume? Unless you'd rather stay with Nanako. It wouldn't be the worst thing, but he liked his room. The TV, the little desk, everything was so comfortable.
You're both boys, so it's probably better if you stay together. That being said, you've got seniority here. If I have to talk boundaries with my nephew, I will.
Boundaries. Compromise. Still wasn't ideal. I guess he liked space. He liked the quiet. He liked the freedom to just wake up in a room all on his own. But that was also selfish. He hadn't even met this mystery nephew, and already he was assuming the worst. He couldn't help, though. He was judgmental because it was safer that way. Assuming the worst prevented disappointment. It was a comfortable shell. But Nanako and Tajima had penetrated that shell. Kanji, too. Was it right to close him off when he hadn't met the boy? Akechi wanted to shrug it off, wanted to let it roll off his skin and greet this as a fresh opportunity. Fortunately, his greedy little feelings persisted. How old is he?
16. He'll be starting his second year of high school pretty soon.
A teenager. Then no girlfriends.
Not yet.
It was a half joke, half serious. If I must share a room, I'd rather not walk in on anything unsavory. He knew how teenagers were. Raging hormones, reckless abandon. Doesn't even spat his drink, nearly taken aback.
That's a given.
He finally said upon wiping up his splatters. Nautical tilted her head. I guess he brought his palm over his face. Please, don't worry about it, Nanako-chan. At least Dojima understood, though. That helped a little. Not enough to completely ease his mind, unfortunately. And when will he be arriving?
Next Monday, so there's still time.
Just before school resumes. They gave him a little handful of days to prepare himself and say goodbye to the solitude he'd grown to enjoy. That helped a little, at least. Dozima's features softened, along with his voice.
Yeah, I know, it's not ideal. But who knows? Maybe he'll hit it off. Just give him a chance, alright?
I'll try, Dojima-san. Akechi glanced at the door. But if it's all the same to you, I think I need to clear my head.
At least finish your breakfast first.
I will. Though he did so rather quietly, still grappling with the news, still processing what to do. He had the luxury of time, but the greedy part of him cried for more. In the end, he left alone. On the way out, he spent several moments staring up at the house, the home he had only just gotten to know. He was being so ungrateful. Before, he had to share a living space with many, many orphaned kids. Children's homes, packed with abandoned or parentless children, all clawing and grasping for a chance to live normal, healthy lives, while the few caretakers struggled to keep up with their demands. No one in those accursed places ever knew privacy, and in between stays in those awful homes, his foster care was hardly better. What right did he have to complain? What right did he have to long to be the only member of the family? Why? Why was he so goddamn resentful? What was wrong with him? His wandering led him to the shopping district as the beginnings of a rainy day began. He didn't fully register his location until a voice called from behind. Hey, kid, didn't you check the forecast? Akechi stopped, turning towards the sound of, oh. It was A man with wavy gray hair, a red baseball cap, and a massive uniform. Just like the night he met Kanji. The same man he thought he saw, only to disappear as swiftly as he registered in Kenji's line of sight. What? Kenji grumbled, folding his arms as the rain dripped upon him. I didn't pay attention, no. It's been a difficult day. The man shook his head, sighing. Well, here, you can have mine. He walked out from under the shelter of a Moel gas station, passed him an umbrella. Not like I really need it while I'm standing around here. You're just giving it to me for free? What can I say? I saw you with that Tatsumi kid the other night. Seems like you didn't have much to go around. Lovely. More pity. But on the other hand, it was raining. He didn't want to get sick so close to the new school year. So sighing, Akechi reluctantly accepted the umbrella. Thank you. But if you need reimbursement, nah, keep it. Like I said, I'm all good. The man stepped back beneath the gas station's cover. But still, it's kind of funny, huh? Akechi squinted as he unfurled the umbrella. Oh, you haven't heard? Just tell me before I lose my taste with you. The man waved his hand. Nah, don't worry about it. Probably no big deal. Just keep an ear out, I guess. The teenage girls around town have been talking about some pretty wild stuff. Ugh, what an insufferable asshole. Whatever you say. He started walking off, but manners. Good day. As Akechi wandered aimlessly, the strange gas stains of the attendant's words seemed to keep some ground of truth. Whispers and murmurs reached his ears. Um, by the way, you Persona 5 fans don't realize this, but right now, the song that plays while you're walking in the overworld map on Persona 5 is playing in my head. I can't remember the title, but it goes, I'ma say sit there, don't take off my mask. I love that song. It's so good for a rainy day moment. Hey, have you ever heard of the Midnight Channel? One girl said. Another walking beside her said, I don't know. Maybe. They say, if you look at the TV screen on midnight or rain nights, you'll see your soulmate. Cassie scoffed. What utter nonsense. No wonder the gas station had climbed up. Akechi would have laughed at such a tall tale. Oh, yeah? Well, the forecast says it's supposed to rain this weekend. It's raining right now. Yeah, but it's only, supposed to last till the afternoon. How convenient. And I just remembered the song is called Beneath the Mask. And if you don't want to find yourself bawling for the next 2 hours, please, as a PSA, do not look up the English cover of Memories of You. You will break. If you want to really break, read the comments. No, it was definitely convenient, Akechi found, when he finally left the shopping district in favor of the Semigawa floodplain. Not that the rain was much of an issue with his new umbrella. The sound of water sputtering against the asphalt was oddly relaxing on the way, a dull white noise to calm his otherwise turbulent mind. And I swear, if I thought I could get away with it without copyright bots hounding my ass, I would tell my editor, put in Beneath the Mask. Yet, when he descended down the steps to the riverbank, the clear sky brought relief. At least now he could sit by the river's edge without having to clutch an umbrella the entire time. Satisfied, he folded it up and carried it loosely in his left hand, and prepared to take a seat where the rocks met the grass and simply listen to the current flow. Then his eyes wandered out to the cross-shaped concrete dock overlooking the river, for a familiar girl with a vivid blue hat, striped knee socks, fingerless gloves, and now a blue shoulder bag stared out on the waterfront. Curious, but not wanting to disrupt her, I guess he crept closer. At least he used some of stealth from his early childhood in the big city. The girl, seemingly clueless, muttered to herself, It feels so familiar. River, gently flowing. Where could you be going? The sky above, blue and bright, until the darkness of the night. A poem? Interesting. Not the most refined meter, but not terrible. Maybe the current flows. It weaves and bends, an endless bounty of life. Listen to the current. Let it soothe your weary soul of all its daily strife. Unable to restrain himself any longer, Akechi approached her and said, "The second feels more evocative." The girl squeaked, spinning around glaring daggers at her. But the glare was about as threatening as a cornered puppy's. "Hey! What are you doing here? Stupid jerk sneaking up on me." "I came here to clean my head." Akechi sat down on the rocks, setting his umbrella aside so he could lean back on his palms. "It wasn't my intention to eavesdrop." "Oh." The girl relaxed a little, looking down at the water. "You too, huh?" "Yes. It seems my life is about to change yet again." Akechi gazed up at the clouds. "For better or worse, I truly can't say." "Like the river. It's always changing." The girl wandered to the edge of the platform, crouching down. "The current never ends. Life begins, growing and waning. It's so peaceful here." "One of the few places scarcely touched by man. There's certainly a serenity to it, isn't there?" "I think so. But it's hard to compare. I don't really know how much about myself or people." Kenzie cupped his chin in his hand. "Really? I know this town is small, but—" "Is it? I wouldn't know." "But you're older than me. I can't imagine you made it this far in life without hearing about the rest of the world." The girl stood silent, avoiding his eyes. "Or I could be mistaken." She crossed her arms, pouting. "I- It's not like I'm stupid, just don't remember much." Suddenly, the previous encounter started to click. The strangely literal way she spoke. A lack of understanding of certain idioms. If she truly didn't remember much, then it stood to reason that certain social customs might be lost to this girl. But Anissa as such an nature was often just fictitious. And again, so were sapient focus and ominous whispers of one mind. Plus the rumors of this midnight channel. Now there was a thought. Inaba, home of secret supernatural phenomena. But then again, he had been hearing voices lately, and too consistently to pass it up as something solely in his mind. Regardless of the implications, he couldn't just not nice curiosity. "Do you have any idea why?" "No." The girl's pout only intensified. "If I did, I wouldn't be here." So he grumbled and huffed. "Plus, it's nicer than the room." That was mildly concerning, to put it lightly. "What sort of room?" "I shouldn't talk about it." The girl turned the other way. The aversion to answers only raised another red flag. "Cagey, aren't you?" "What? No, this is a cage in the room." She paused. "There aren't bars, at least." What a strange woman. "You realize that everything you're saying is extremely concerning, right?" "Why?" "You're an amnesiac. But you come from a room that makes you long for the open air. It makes you come across like a runaway, if not an escaped prisoner." Akechi certainly had tried it once or twice. The girl turned back around, stomping. "I didn't run away. Margaret just thought some fresh air might jog my memory." She took a deep breath, then slowly exhaled and shut her eyes. "I know I'm connected to this place somehow, but it's like the answers are buried in fog." To lose one's memories, one might argue, was to lose oneself. But one could also argue it was to shed one's pain and be reborn as a fresh slate. Tread carefully, then. To some, ignorance is truly bliss. They might find it liberating to live a life unbound from the past. Akechi cracked a crooked smirk. "But that wouldn't satisfy you, would it?" "No." She squinted at Akechi again, arms crossed. "You're a small human, but you seem to know a lot. Why is that?" Small, human. As if the uncanny, almost supernatural vibes weren't potent enough already. I lived through hell and had to grow up much sooner than other children. Hell. The way she said it seemed odd. As if that word was foreign to her vocabulary. "Tell me about this hell." I guess he chuckled. "We just met. I don't think that's grounds to open old wounds for your amusement." "What do wounds have to do with this?" "You're a poet. Surely you recognize metaphors." "Of course I do!" Well, no, why are they so smart? More grumbling. It was oddly adorable. A weird way to look at an older person, but he had almost a childlike charm. "Fine then. You can keep your secrets for now. But someday I want to know. I want to understand what hell is." "You really don't. Trust me on that." Akechi got off, dusting his clothes and grabbing his new umbrella. "But it's a small town. I doubt this will be the last time we see each other." Yeah, it will be because I am supposed to. Supposed to what exactly? Her wording was highly suspicious. The girl squeaked again. Nothing! Saying nothing doesn't help your case. It's just, you're smart. A smart person like you seems to be the kind of guy I need to figure stuff out. She pointed down. Just you wait, Hellboy. I'll learn about myself and get the answers I want from you. See, oh goodness. She was pointing, like an anime protagonist. I guess he bit his lip, and then snored, then snickered. And then the nickname finally registered. He coughed, he sighed. Akechi, not Hellboy. Catchy. I knew it! As if she wasn't strange enough already, though it was possible she heard his name from Kanji, or someone else who caught wind. Still, odd, but pressing at one guild must besides denial. And do you have a name? Or shall I simply call you Poem Girl? Hey, don't you dare! He set his free hand on his hip. Well, do you have a name? It's Marie, okay? Sheesh! Aha, there it was. Something tangible. A pleasure then, Marie-san. Though if I may be so bold, is this name of yours a lingering memory? She shook her head, wilting. Margaret said I needed a name, so... Right. You mentioned it, Margaret. Another Western name, too. Well, it's a lovely name. I think it suits you well. Really? All the way her cheeks tinted pink only proved how easily flustered she was. I mean, of course it is. I knew that. The pout returned, because of course it did. Well, seeing how I interrupted you, I should probably give you some space. Akechi bowed, then turned towards the stairs. May you find the answers you seek. Or at the very least, create a poem you are satisfied with. You better not tell anyone you heard that! He flashed her another smirk from over his shoulder and winked just to lay on the charm. Of course, even I have some restraint. You're so weird, was a particularly grumpy response. Somehow, even after multiple strange incidents of that point, when everything froze, when the whispers followed, it still left Akechi speechless. The Aeon. Shackles. The truth. Finally, he left Marie quiet. She simply watched him, chin in hand. Akechi chose not to question it. This girl was already strange as it was. The gas station attendant, too. The fox as well. Now wouldn't that be funny? Girl Akechi, once seeing his little but worthless way for the flesh, suddenly entangled with the real and divine. The idea of being special. What were the odds? Could it be so? The girl had even spoken as she was expected to meet him, as his name was familiar. What was he? A shonen protagonist? Give me a sec. No. Seinen. And before any of you try, yes, I looked up where the magazine where this was published. It's a Seinen magazine. So yes, Persona 4 is technically Seinen. Though Kenshi spent a bit more time aimlessly wandering around the floodplain, he eventually returned and munched quietly on some takeout tonkatsu Nanaka was curious enough to bring home. It was just the two of them for now, and definitely Tozima had some paperwork to deal with the office on top of making calls to the local high school. He probably had to schedule the day of his nephew's arrival just as well, just to ensure he was there to greet him. Understandable busy work, but as such, it led to earlier conversation a dangling thread. As he sat beside him, Nanako asked, you thinking? Are you still mad? He heaved down a sigh. I'll be alright, Nanako-chan. I'll just need some time. Sorry I couldn't play with you today. She shook her head and patted his shoulder. No, you're just not used to people being used to being stuff. You don't know you get wrong. She was so perceptive for her age. I got used to how things are now. It's going to change again. But change can be good. Kenshi slumped over in defeat. Touche. Her intent and serious look was undercut by the soft, round features, but the enthusiasm was just so sweet. If anyone dared to hurt this girl, he'd make their lives hell. I'll be right there with you, Akechi! But while her words didn't completely remove Akechi's unease, the support she offered spoke volumes. When he returned to the room, he spent the next hour or so aimlessly flipping through the channels. and overlooking the shared-to-be space. How much of this would still be his come Monday night? He had definitely passed out on the couch and woke with a stiff neck and back. Not ideal. Also less than ideal was the fact that Ojima had left too early for Akechi to apologize. While Nanako had a playdate arranged with her friend Mai-chan, though she apologized profusely for having to leave him, but he was still feeling sad. He could have embraced the solitude of the house, an entire home all to himself. But that would be lonely. Was he actually afraid of being lonely? Akechi scowled. No, that wasn't it. He just didn't want to die of boredom. He stepped out again that morning, wearing his green-collared shirt and khakis, and marched towards the shopping district with his new phone tightly in hand. If he had Kanji's number, it'd be easy enough to call him. Without it, he had no choice but to approach the textile store directly. He flipped his phone open and shut, perhaps a bit anxiously, when Kanji walked out the door, stopped and stared.
You! Is that a cell phone?
Akechi held it up, wearing a tired smile. Indeed, Tsushima-san gave it to me the other night.
No kidding.
I know, I was just surprised. He tucked the phone into his pants pocket. Since Kanji was here and Nanako was otherwise preoccupied, perhaps this was an ideal opportunity. Say, Kanji-san, are you busy today? Something came up yesterday, and I admit I could use the company.
Sure, I got time. What, you got a place in mind?
Somewhere away from the crowds, he chuckled. But perhaps not Samagawa. There's a chance the young poet's using the space. She's rather timid to you about her craft. Sir, there's a chance he was elsewhere today. Best not to risk it. Well, at least Kanji didn't seem too upset. Offering a lazy grin.
Hey, it's cool. I think I know somewhere even better.
He headed down the road, waiting for Akechi to follow. It was a long walk that eventually led the two of them up to the top of a hill overlooking the town. Colorful flowers spread across the grassy landscape, with bushy trees interspersed throughout. Wood benches rested beside equally wooden railing. At the center of it all stood a picnic table beneath a wooden roof, providing shelter for visitors on rainy days. You know, it. I wasn't enjoying myself with this pic. I would be making a bad, out of place pedophile joke. But unfortunately, I love Kanji very much, so I can't do it. Next bad fic, though. But perhaps most eye-catching was the view. Akechi found himself instinctively drawn towards the horizon. He looked over the rail at the winding road, the distant buildings peppered between stretches of wilderness. Everything looked so small, like a diorama or museum display, and just enough rays of sun pierced through the cloud cover to extend the landscape below. The Samagawa River was relaxing, but this was, truthfully, I never did take the time to appreciate the scenery here.
Kanji approached from behind. So, what's the verdict?
Turning around, Kazi said, It's lovely, actually. Tranquil. Rustic. The air is clean, and you can see all the stars at night. He sank down to the nearby bench, crossing his legs and propping his cheek up with one hand. No neon in sight.
Kazi sat beside him. Oh, you city kid?
He could have kept it vague. Akechi could have simply said he was from Tokyo. He kept it at that. But that would prompt more questions, like how he got there, and, well, Kanzi was the one who saved him, after all. If anyone deserved to know how a child like him could be so broken. I was born in Shichibu's red light district. To say it was overwhelming would be a vast understatement. Kanzi reeled back, eyes wide in blatant alarm.
Shit, you serious? Well, that's where people
Bask in their lust, embrace depravity. Akechi barked out a bitter laugh. Some people have no choice, Kanji-san. As I said, the world can be so cruel. Kanji hesitated, clearly looking down at the ground with his posture hunched.
Want to talk about it?
Akechi already opened up to Dojima, but Dojima already knew the broad strokes of the case files. This was a little point in secrecy from him. Kanji, on the other hand, would he accept it? Would he understand? What report would he have built crumble once he knew the truth? Well, Akechi could always test the water with a simple question. Kazi-san, what if I told you I was a bastard child? Would that change how you look at me? Kazi stared, which wasn't a good sign, but the words that followed left Akechi speechless.
I mean, maybe. but only because it freaking sucks.
He folded his arms and shook his head.
But that ain't something you can control. Nobody picks their parents.
Words that Cassie wished he could have heard so long ago. Words his mother would have heard, yet no one ever cared to speak them. Yet, in our society, children like me are marked as disgraceful. Our mothers are shunned, some even losing their livelihoods, as if our very existence is scandalous. Kanji hopped to his feet, clenching a fist.
Yeah, well, screw society. Bunch of stupid rules and expectations. Can't even be yourself sometimes without folks acting like you're a freak.
You truly are something else, Kanji-san. So open, so honest, but not in that same childish honesty that Nanako displayed. His was a more righteous fury, no doubt spoken from the heart, as one also looked down upon and forced to wear such a threatening mask. Perhaps it would be okay then, for Akechi to tell him his story, and make it easier to understand the other matters gnawing at his mind at least. And so, his mind made up. He folded his hands in his lap and leaned forward. You asked once if my parents worried about me. Well, my father abandoned my mother after he planted his seed within her, and my mother crumbled beneath the weight of the burdens I brought upon her.
You don't mean.
I do. And that's why I got passed around from home to home, useful for only financial compensation at best. As a result, it's been difficult to accept my current circumstances. Your actions truly have rescued me from my misery. My fear was still a product of my upbringing. He glanced over his shoulder once he got car zoomed toward the horizon. I should be grateful. Tsujima-san and Nanako-chan have both been so kind. I could tell the little girl loves me. What still boggles the mind.
I get it. Feeling too good to be true, alright? Like you'll open your eyes one more, you'll be back in that old shithole.
How funny. As if he was clairvoyant. Exactly. Most people turn a blind eye to the hardships of others, because if they acknowledge it, then they have to accept how lucky they are, how privileged they are to live in comfort, when they could be just like me, or my poor mother. Akechi slept over again, propping his face up with both hands this time. I'll never forgive my father for what he did to her. I dream of vengeance regularly, but of course that's merely fantasy. After all, what could a 12-year-old child do with only a name to go off of, and so little power? Rather than judge Akechi, Kanji settled back into a bench beside him.
Hey, for what it's worth, I'd probably feel the same way if I went through half the crap you did. You got no reason to forgive a piece of shit like that.
Huh, you flatter me, Kanji-san. But still, truly makes tracing so difficult. Dojima-san informed me this morning that his nephew will be staying with us starting Monday, and already I keep thinking to myself that I'm about to be cast aside, even knowing that he's treating me like his own son. So stupid. I don't even know his nephew, and already I despise him. Kazi rubbed the back of his neck, blowing out a puff of air.
I say give him a chance, but. Nah, I get that too. You barely had time to settle in. Now you got this huge curveball flying your way.
Well said. One minute I've had my own room, and now I'll have to share it. I know it's selfish, but a part of me wishes he could find somewhere else to stay, so I can continue to bask in the freedom I've gained. But then I think to myself, Koro Akechi, you don't deserve it, do you? You walked into their lives, imposing upon them. That other boy is family. The word family dripped with so much venom, so much resentment, further proof of his selfish fears.
And you ain't?
Oh, Kanji. Akechi would brush off his sentiment as full of naivete, but Dojima had his own words and actions proving otherwise. It's funny. Dojima-san expressed a similar sentiment. If only it were so simple. I know I shouldn't feel this way. I shouldn't be ungrateful.
Yeah, well, change is tough. Specifically when it's only been about a week. I think even he knows you ain't gonna shake off all that crap just laying you down right away. Guy's a cop, but he still has faith in you. That's gotta count for something, right?
He's proven that already. But don't you see? That makes it worse. Bright lights cast deep shadows, Kanji-san. I just don't know how to be better than this. A week wasn't enough time to reshape Akechi. Old habits die hard. Years of bitterness built up, only for him to be graciously lifted from the depths of despair by his sluggest boy beside him. How funny. When Akechi was small, he dreamed of heroism. His heroic ideals were bright, noble, overly just and kind. The idea of his savior coming in the form of someone with multiple piercings, bleached hair, dressed in leather, strangely in a roundabout way, made Kazi's heroism feel a little more real. Because, of course, only a fellow outcast would take notice of someone like him, who fell in line with everything their society valued. Kazi looked down square in the eye and said, "Then don't. Just be the best you can be. That's all anyone can do." Tall order for someone like me, I'm afraid.
I don't know. You're a pretty cool kid.
Kazi cracked a small, almost timid smile.
Most guys look at the kind of stuff I make and think I'm a pansy for it.
The pansy. What symbolizes love, honesty, and devotion? When you reframe it, is it such an awful thing? The dumbfounded look on Kazi's face was not unexpected, truthfully.
Huh. You serious about all that?
Kazi shrugged. Books were one of my forms of solace, even before my mother died. I picked up some odd knowledge here and there as a natural consequence. Kazi looked away again.
Guessing that didn't always end well?
I argued I'm somewhat fortunate that our culture values academics. I applied myself in school because it was an opportunity to prove myself, to prove that I'm more than some throwaway child to be pitied.
But it must have been lonely sometimes, right? You said you weren't looking to make friends at school.
Better to shield myself from the world than to let others in and risk heartache. It's how I managed to survive this long.
Yeah, but survival ain't the same thing as living.
You aren't wrong. Down the winding highway, two more cars raced in the distance, but it was all I could do to get through each day. I could have ended it, and I admit I thought about it once or twice, but I chose to live out of spite. I would not allow myself to be crushed the way my mother was, and so here I am, at a crossroads of uncertain future.
Huh. Well, maybe you shouldn't worry too much about what's overcoming that hill. You worry too much. You'll miss out on what's right in front of you.
Akechi returned his attention to Kaji, one eyebrow raised. Like this view? Kaji smirked.
Exactly. You ain't as serious as the rest of us. What most folks see as dried up old town, you get, I don't know, a nice peaceful escape or something?
I imagine the crime rates are lower, at any rate. It's not the worst place to grow up. Akechi wheezed out a quiet laugh. But no, I argue I am as jaded, if not more. Even the most restless teenager here likely lives a pleasant enough life. Kazi grimaced.
Okay, bad choice of words. But you get what I'm saying, right?
Yes, Kazi-san, I do understand. If only he could shake off his reservations with a single conversation. But I fear that even now, I can't shake my frustrations. Between the inevitable start at a new school and the arrival of this mystery nephew, there's a storm a brewing. Perhaps Akechi cursed himself as dark clouds engulfed the sky.
Shit.
Well, the forecast says it's supposed to rain this weekend. Goro Akechi was an absolute idiot forgetting to check the forecast before leaving the house. Standing up, Kazi ran a hand over his hair.
Well, that ain't good. Neither of us grabbed umbrellas.
Akechi very audibly facepalmed, just when that gas station attendant was kind enough to give him one, too. We should hurry back then, too.
Risha!
Kazi's grin suggested he was dead serious, too. Akechi snickered at the thought. You have the unfair advantage, Kazi-san. You're taller and in better shape. Not that Akechi couldn't run. He absolutely could. Kazi gently slugged his shoulder. Really? It was more like an awkward tap.
See, that's why you gotta join a club. There's at least one sport your speed.
Maybe one day. But that would require Akechi to be more comfortable in large groups. Alas, he wasn't there yet, and he doubted he would be anytime soon. Well, you see, there's this nearby group that features a painter, an heiress, a wannabe detective.
Yeah, want a head start?
Now, what have I told you about Penny, Kazi-san? Kazi stood up, clasped together, with his most irritating saccharine smile. A model, a kitty cat, and a dancer.
Yeah, but
Kazi took off, but I'll accept it just this once. Oh, and an adorable AI program. Finally, Kazi didn't seem to mind. It took several seconds before Akechi heard the thundering sound of his footsteps. And then, of course, came the rain. Lovely. Wasn't long before Kanzi caught up and offered his jacket. Akechi, trying his best to keep pace, stared at the leather offering. What about you? Kanzi chuckled and said, I could use the shower. This was ridiculous. Not so ridiculous for Akechi to turn down such a generous offer, though. And so, he fastened Kanzi's jacket into a sort of quasi cloak and held it over his head as he ran down the hill. Not the most effective method, but it was better than nothing. When he finally returned to the residential district, the impromptu race ended in a draw. It was possible that Kanzi went easy on him, but Akechi didn't have it in him to complain, and had everything to discuss together. I must admit, Kanzi-san, it was helpful. Our discussion, I mean. He returned a jacket which, due to its material, remained mostly unscathed. I look like a fool, but I do enjoy our time together. He hesitated. Would it be all right if we exchanged contact information? Might make future meetings easier. Kanji tapped him with an elbow.
If you want to hang out more, all you gotta do is ask. Here.
He flashed his number on his phone screen. Akechi shared his turn.
And if his nephew ends up being a pain in the ass, just give me a call.
Tipping his chin up, Akechi finished putting Kanji's number, and then tucked the phone away. Good. You're volunteering for exasperating late-night ranting.
Hey, if it helps,
Kanji turned around, took a few steps and stopped.
but hang in there, alright?
I'll try anyway. Oh, and one other thought. Akechi approached the front door to the GCMO's residence, then looked over his shoulder. Thank you, by the way.
Anytime. Us outcasts gotta stick together.
Well, enough standing in the rain. Prying the double doors open, Kenzie stumbled inside, followed by as much elegance as a wet dog. Very eager, Nanako-chan ran up to him. What can you say? She stopped when she saw him and pouted. Look at you all wet. Grappling, no. I was a bit out of it today. Kenzie bowed, dripping rainwater onto the floor. Lovely. I'll try to get dried up before I catch a cold. I know what makes me sick. It was still so odd for a small child to be so doting. How easily Nanako could flip from silly child to strangely motherly was so odd, to say the least. Still, with fresh laundry underway, Akechi slipped into his featherman tee and flannels and used the blow dryer to before going to bed with wet hair. As they sat by the TV together, the two of them dined a prepackaged salmon bento. The egg, rice, and small seaweed salad rounded the meal out nicely. Still, the absence of a certain detective was hard to miss. As Akechi picked the food, he said, another late night, I assume? Nanako blew a huge sigh. People talking about the news too. Curious, Akechi turned to the TV, to iNews. Weirdly, no Mayumi Yamano tonight. Instead, a grading man bowed to the camera and said,
Good evening, Inaba. We regret to inform you that Miss Mayumi Yamato will not be reporting this evening. At this time, all we can say on the matter is stay tuned for coming days for a follow-up report.
The weather forecast came next, confirming what Akechi had heard the day before. Rain on and off for the next few days, continuing into the next week. You better remember your umbrella! Akechi lifted his palms. I promise, Nanako-chan. As he nibbled, another thought came to his mind. Your father's a busy man, correct? He's just talking about work, aren't he? He poked down at her food, prodding it with a chopstick. Might be a too bit scary. You're very strong to have made it this long in your home. Somebody down the foot! Come to think of it, it was raining. There were those stupid midnight channel rumors to consider. Midnight was a still few hours off. It had been a long day. Was he really going to entertain such notions? So, it has to be pertinent to rest early and set an alarm. Hey, Nanako-chan, I may get an early test tonight. If you're still awake when your father returns, will you tell him all right? Okay, my meeting is right. Talk to him tomorrow. I knew you like that. Yeah, I do owe him an apology. He heaved a heavy sigh. Nanako was soon eating and watching TV when a new reporter came on and started criticizing how Tunis led to many local businesses closing. She changed the channel to her favorite quiz show instead. Getting someone here might be nice. Maybe someone else here can look out for us, but Daddy's too busy. Because she's older? This car's almost grown ups. They can work and I get your girlfriend too. Akechi massaged his brow. Not your mystery cousin. I know, but how come? It's because you don't want to bring anyone to your room? Akechi grunted. Ah, how close was he into the truth? Yes, that would be rude, Nanako-chan. I don't want to walk in on kissing, among other things, but she was a small child. Best to preserve her innocence. The fact that Nanako made a face at his words proved he got the point across well enough. You're being rude. It's nothing too. And I have seniority. Ha! At least Nanako's on his side. But still, what sort of person is this cousin of yours? Truly an enigma. I'm starting to see your opinions. I'll build a profile. Then if he does anything nefarious, I'll have all the evidence needed to. He stopped himself for going too morbid around the girl. Embarrassed him in some meaningful way. What's the following? Right. Nanako was young enough that his usual vocabulary was still a tad daunting. Nefarious means wicked. She cupped her chin in hand, as she often did. Okay, I'll tell you what it's called that too. Heh, was he trying to emulate him? Striving to be the resident genius, are we? I'm gonna be smart as him. Well, we'll take it one at a time, Nanako-chan. You're only 6, was it? I turned 7 in October. She paused, and as a light bulb blinked the life overhead. Yeah, what's your birthday? That wasn't a question he often heard. It's June 2nd. And Nanako, in her most Nanako-like manner, beamed, like Judas! Oh, ha. I suppose 2 Juneses would be a Junes. Well, a silly conversation. But after everything, perhaps that was all that was needed to wind down for the night. You had to cherish these moments like Nanako, just the two of them, with the sand in the hourglass trickling away, and it stood to the status quo looming ahead. Until then, he enjoyed a pleasant dinner with one of the few rays of hope in his life. When he finally finished eating and disposed of his dish, he moved beside her and said, Nanako-chan, whatever happens, please continue to smile. You bring so much warmth to this place. She gave him a stern look, eyes locked on his. Okay, I'll smile extra way, so don't be sad, okay? For emphasis, she cracked a smile so wide it threatened to consume her entire face. The girl truly was going to be the end of him, wasn't she? I'll try my best. Even so, when he returned to that room, a room he would soon have to share, the unease from the last few days began nibbling at him once more. Wriggling under the covers, he set the phone alarm for 11:55. Sleep surprisingly took hold soon after, perhaps beckoned by the soothing sound of rain. But when that alarm rang out, he tilted up straight away and maneuvered to the couch. All right, Midnight Channel, show me my supposed soulmate. The clock ticked and ticked until 12 rolled around. Then, to Aketsu's surprise, the blank TV screen filled with static. His head hit the couch cushions, and he fumbled his phone, but narrowly avoided dropping it. Scooting to the couch's edge, he opened the phone's camera just in time to see a woman, a silhouette. Very difficult to make out, but far too old for Akechi, that was for sure. The hair seemed short. Although Akechi snapped an image, the image itself still lacked distinct features. But the Midnight Channel was real. It wasn't just idle gossip. He had to monitor the next few nights. No way his soulmate was just some adult woman.